time's a charm. Here's Mr. McHenry. Look at him.
Even the cat's like, what's going on?
Are you in? Are we in? Are we here? Hello. Hello, everybody. Oh, there's Julie Bicott. Hello. Again, are we the right way on this time? Hey, Connie. There's Kathy, my girl from Killingworth. Trey Clements from Shreveport, Louisiana. Howdy doodle. Hey, Jeanette. Oh, there's Sarah Christensen. Third time's the charm. Yes. Okay, hey, Lee. We're just going to wait a few minutes to get everybody back. Hi, Julie. I'm going to share Julie's avocado that she sent me. This was Julie when I was having a difficult time a month or so ago. Julie sent me this amazing plush avocado, which is just fabulous. So, and she sent me a picture of her hugging an enormous one in a store, and said every time that I was feeling down, I should look at my avocado. So that's my avocado from Julie. We're right side up now. Good. This is my friend, but I'm going to introduce my friend in a minute. Hi, Joy. We're just going to wait for it because this is super important, and we want everybody to hear it. So we'll just wait for a few minutes for people to find us, and you can gaze longingly at Mr. McHenry, who's very excited because we haven't done a Monday Night Live for 4 or 5 weeks, quite a few weeks. As most of you know, I have been busy battling parasites and bacterias and other toxic things, and kind of clearing out my life. So that's been busy, and I've been building a new Facebook group, and I've been rebuilding my website, and so we haven't had a live for 4 or 5 weeks. And Kathy. So Kathy is my house sitter, and she's just said, there's her baby boy in the background. She now has adopted all my children. McHenry, hi. So Mr. McHenry will come and say, and I don't know if you can see, you can't really see. Let me just, look, there's Daisy. Look, there's Daisy down there. Isn't that cute? Okay, Tamara's back. Deanne's back from Arizona. I bet it's warmer in, oh, Robin, you're in Tampa. I was just in Tampa. And Kimberly from Titusville is back again. Hi, Maria. Oh, Mike Reynolds. We love Mike Reynolds. Mike Reynolds is married to Jessica Reynolds, who we also adore. And I had a fabulous opportunity to have dinner with them in Danville, Virginia, when I was traveling down that way the other week. So, hi, Phoenix. Kathy's saying hi, Daisy. Hi, San Jose. Hey, Maria. What's the time? 10 past 8, 58. When we get to, oh, hey, Utah. Hey, Sherry. Hi, Trissa. LA. Wow, we got the we got the West Coast representing here. We got South Carolina, Michigan. Hi, Crystal. There's Tina. Tina's in Pennsylvania. Philadelphia. Yeah, that's in Pennsylvania, right? Mm-hmm. Right. Hey, Meg. Oh, Colorado Springs, one of my favorite places. I love Colorado. There's Mitzi. Who else we got? Hey, Bree. I'm going to wait. When we get to 60, I'm going to introduce you to my very good friend here, and we're going to talk about Lyme disease and other buggy things. Hey, Ruth. Hey, Ruth. How are you? Emel. Oh, another one from Florida. New Jersey. That's a bit closer. Hi, New Jersey. Oh, Vancouver Island. Kim Burke. I love Vancouver. Oh, and we got someone from South Australia. Hello, Lynn. G'day. Laurie from Illinois. Okay, we're at 60. So we're going to get started. This is a super important topic. It's like big and bold in my life right now because those of you who know me know that I've just spent the last few months dealing with Lyme and a bunch of other things which we'll talk about in a minute. So this is my friend. This is Sheila. This is Sheila Reed. And she's never done one of these before.
Yeah, so bear with me,
and
please.
right now she's wondering why in the world she offered to do this. But I'm super excited because Sheila is wholly responsible for me no longer having Lyme. She hates this bit, but whatever. So Sheila is I'm going to call her a practitioner. Sheila is the practitioner that I was introduced to by Josh the Tree Dude. Sheila does look great, doesn't she?
Thank you.
And Kathy and Killing Work has decided to meet you. So I was introduced to Sheila by a gentleman called Josh, who is actually my tree dude. He came and took a couple of huge trees down that were in my yard, and we got talking about all of our weird woo-woo medical things, because between us, you know, I have the MTHFR, and you know, he and his wife had a whole bunch of their own issues, and so we got talking. We had this amazing conversation about the protocols we were using to heal our respective things. And I, at the time, this was back in May, when I had been feeling ill for about 2 or 3 months. I was getting headaches, migraines every other day. I was super nauseous. I was more fatigued than I knew what to do with. Hey, it's Popcorn. Hi, Popcorn. I was more fatigued than I knew what to do with, and I knew something was really wrong, but I didn't know what. And I went through the process of trying to kind of figure out, okay, what happened and why now? I've just moved to Connecticut. Okay, and I went through all the things I knew about, like, was it that I was different trees? So I was like, you know, allergic to all these different trees. Were the migraines an allergic reaction? What was going on? Was it something in the house? So I got a super fancy filter system for the house. I did all the allergy things. I did everything I knew, and I figured that it was that my symptoms were something to do with my MTHFR, that maybe I was over-methylating or under-methylating. And it got to, I think it was like the beginning of July, and Josh had shared with me test results that he'd had from this lady. And I didn't think anything of it, but by the time I got to July, I had become so ill that I was pretty much desperate. I'd also started to become depressed, which, for those of you who know me, that's not a good place for me. And all of this was building up, and I had no idea what was wrong, but I was getting sicker and sicker. And then I remembered that Josh had talked about this lady, and he'd shown me his test results. And so I called him and I said, remind me who that lady was. I'm desperate. I don't know what to do. And of course, I've been here 5 seconds and I don't have a doctor, and so on and so forth. And so he reminded me, he gave me Sheila's number, and I called Sheila. And because she loved my accent, she got me in really quickly.
It's a killer for me.
And so I went to see Sheila the next week, and Sheila worked her. Now, Sheila is a homotoxicologist, and I'm going to let Sheila do most of the talking now, because I honestly do not really understand what the protocol is, or how it was identified. I don't really understand what Sheila does, even though I've had it done. But what I do know is, and for me, the only thing I care about is the fact that I found out I had Lyme disease on July 25th. 2 months later, on October 1st, I no longer had Lyme disease. So in just over 2 months, I went from having Lyme disease and being so ill I could barely function to feeling completely different. I no longer have fatigue, the migraines have stopped, virtually all of the symptoms I had from Lyme have gone in the space of 2 months. And when I was retested, I no longer have Lyme. If you have Lyme or you know anything about Lyme, you know that that's kind of miraculous. So while I don't really understand what Sheila does or how it works, I know that it does work because I am in a completely different place physically now as a result of the work that I did with Sheila. So, and actually I have been wanting to ask Sheila to come and do a live with me for weeks, but I was kind of like, she's going to think I'm crazy. And then when I went to see Sheila last week, she said, hey, why don't we just do a live? I'll come to your house and we'll just do a live. So I'm super, super thrilled because now I can, Sheila can explain to you all, and I know loads of you have been pinging me and saying, hey, we know you got rid of your Lyme, but what did you do and how did you do it? And I don't feel at all equipped, even though I've been through the process, I didn't feel equipped to intelligently explain it to you. So the fact that Sheila has been willing to come here and explain what she does is just fabulous to me, and I'm super, super, super excited. And whether she likes it or not, she's like my favorite person now.
Today. Tomorrow.
No. She really is. Because I honestly, and I know this sounds a bit soppy, but I honestly, if it hadn't been for Josh introducing me to Sheila, if I hadn't met Sheila, I'm honestly not sure where I would be right now or what life would look like. Because yes, Kyra says yay for Sheila. I don't think, and you know, I'm kind of good at hiding things. I didn't talk about how ill I was because that's just not my style. And I was still trying to do all the things and help you all with your things. And I was still trying to do all the lives and the, you know, everything else. I was really, really, really ill. And I was barely functional. So had that continued for another 2 months, I'm not sure where I would have been right now. So I'm indebted to Josh, I'm indebted to Sheila, and now I'm going to shut up and let Sheila explain the magic.
Bear with me because I've never done this before. But I'm just going to talk to you and then...
You have to look there.
Oh, golly.
And she's super cute, isn't she?
Thank you.
Isn't she? Look at that.
So let me go back a little bit
Okay.
and talk about how I got here so people have a kind of a reference point of what brought me to homotoxicology and bioenergetic medicine. That's kind of the umbrella of what I do. 15 years ago, my youngest son, Aiden, was diagnosed with autism. And we tried, sorry, I'm supposed to
You're
look
supposed to
over.
look there.
Sorry. We tried dealing with his autism through biomedical treatments for 2 years. I went on kind of mom on a mission and decided that I wasn't going to settle for just having a child with this diagnosis, that I really wanted to understand what happened, what caused the autism, because I just didn't believe that it was a genetic disorder. And so I went and started with the whole biomedical treatment process, from doing everything from having a hyperbaric oxygen machine in my house for over a year to all kinds of different supplements, medications. He was on double the adult dose of Valtrex at the age of 3. The CVS pharmacy pharmacist didn't even want to prescribe it to us, but he knew us and knew that we were going to get some labs drawn to make sure that he was safe. I mean, you name it, we did it. And by the time that he was 4, because he was so mildly affected, the physician that we were seeing said, you know, he should recover. You know, there are kids that really do recover. but we're going to do IV chelation because he does have heavy metal toxicity. There are pathogens, bacteria, viruses, but specifically he had mercury in him from my amalgam fillings that crossed the blood-brain barrier and was one of the causative factors.
So that was while Sheila was pregnant.
Yes.
The mercury in Sheila's fillings
it leaches.
were passed through to her baby in utero.
Right. So we did the IV chelation. He was the youngest child in the state of Connecticut to do that. He was 4. And nothing came out. And at that point, the physician that we were seeing, Nancy O'Hara, who was just a godsend for us, said, I think you should try something different. Try homotoxicology. And there's a practitioner down in New York who I'd like you to contact. So I did. I contacted her. I had an hour-and-a-half conversation on the phone with her, and I thought, I get this. It's all about toxins in the cells. You clean out the cells, get rid of all the toxins, and people get better. That's the essence of this. So homotoxicology, homo meaning human, toxicology is toxins. So toxins in human. That's kind of the basis of it. So at that point, I asked my husband if I could go back to school. And he said, sure. He was in school for pharmacy at the time, go figure. So we kind of nixed that idea. And I traveled back and forth to Atlanta for a couple of years and then did advanced practitioner courses in Chicago and in Hartford and other places around. So a good 3 years worth of coursework to get certified to do homotoxicology and bioenergetic medicine. I had a nursing background because I was a medic on an ambulance for years and years and years. So I knew, no, I shouldn't say nursing background, but emergency medical technician. So I knew a lot about medicine. And then, you know, given the fact that I had a child on the spectrum, I had to learn about methylation pathways. I had to learn about the Krebs cycle. I had to learn about MTHR and COMT and all of these technical terms that really contribute to a person's ability to detoxify or not. So that's kind of the basis of how I got here, because before that I was just your regular old psychotherapist, you know, just practicing therapy in my office, adults, adolescents, minding my own business. And then, you know, I got this little boop, here, you have a kid with autism. As soon as we started that journey of homotoxicology, things really took off for Aiden, and he started to recover. He's still in the process of recovering. I don't think you ever get fully out of this maze, especially kids are like the canaries in coal mines. They are subject to toxins all the time, so I continually have to keep him on a regimen. You know, he himself has had Lyme, so we had to deal with that. He's had strep, and so that leads to what's called PANS. I mean, there's always things to kind of clean up. But I will say this, he's going to be 17 next week on the, well, 2 weeks. No, next week, oh my gosh. He does CrossFit a couple of times a week. He used to tap dance, but he doesn't want to do that anymore, which is really kind of bumming me out because I used to love to go to all of
all the shows.
Yeah. So he doesn't do that anymore. He's funny. He's got a great personality. He's just the light of my life, and he saved my life. Given the fact that I went back to school, I had to get myself tested, and I found out that I had heavy metal toxicity, kind of contributed to his disorder. I had mycobacterium around my heart. I was loaded with pathogens myself. So when I was in school and working with my mentor down in Atlanta, I called my husband one day and I was like, honey, I am sick. And I knew that I didn't feel well, but when you have those tests, and you know, you've seen the tests now in front of you, it's like, holy moly, no wonder why he came out the way he did and he had the struggles that he did. So I've been through this process myself. And I am very, very sensitive to what it's like to go through intracellular detoxification. And I really do mother people, whether they like it or not. I'm a little bit of a mother hen. So let me get back to what bioenergetic medicine means. So that is
I have to say that I very much appreciated Sheila being a mother hen back a few weeks ago when I had you'll who know that my brain went a little bit sideways, and we're sure that it was either the die-off from the Lyme and the other pathogens, or it was the strength of the things that we were using to get rid of them that caused my brain to have
a combination.
A little bit of a hiccup. But I have to say, Sheila mothered me, and I will be eternally grateful that Sheila mothered me through that, because yeah, as you know, I'm here. I don't know very many people, and so I don't have a great support team around me yet. I'm getting there. There's Kathy mothering me, telling me I didn't drink my water, so...
Well, I know what it's like, because I've had a kid that was sick, and I wanted to have that connection with my practitioner and make sure that I could reach out. So I want to be that. I get that. I just get it on a whole different level. So anyway, getting back to bioenergetic medicine, that's a fancy term for any kind of homeopathic, nutritional, botanical, that falls under kind of the umbrella that we use to eradicate the toxins that are in the body. So I always say to people, whatever a physician can prescribe to you to deal with whatever symptoms you are dealing with, I do the same, only through natural means. The big difference is that I'm looking for the root cause. I'm not looking to suppress the symptoms. I'm looking to get rid of whatever is causing that issue. So in your case, Carrie, when you came in, I didn't just focus on Lyme. I looked at everything. I mean, I test probably 90 plus toxins right off the bat. Everything from a whole slew of herpes viruses, because there's a lot in there that can really do some damage in the body, to Candida, lots of different kinds of bacteria, small intestinal bacteria, overgrowth. I look at that now. I mean, I've really kind of broadened the repertoire, because everybody is just sick. I mean, that's the world that we're living in right now. It's a really toxic place.
And I've shared, those of you who follow my Facebook wall, and for Sheila's benefit, I've shared pretty much everything that have come on my reports from you. I've shared it, so you can talk about whatever, right? I know that she's having a heart attack right now, because she's like, oh! So you can talk about anything to do with me publicly, because I've already shared all of this in lives or on my wall. So everybody knows that you know that we killed the Lyme, but everybody knows that I still have Babesia co-infections, that I have systemic Candida,
Mercury.
that I have mercury. They were all there with me when I had my filling taken out, replaced. So they know all about that. They know about the Epstein Barr. They know about the drug-induced lupus. So they know, they've seen my wall, they followed me, so they know all that's going on with me.
Right, okay.
You can talk about anything.
Okay.
HIPAA, I'm giving my permission.
So now that I know that, so let me just take a person through kind of the initial process, right? So you make the phone call, we come in. I don't look at your paperwork typically before you come in, although most people will tell me over the phone what they think is going on. The reason I don't look at the paperwork is because I don't want that to lead me. I want the testing to be pure and clean. So I do the initial, it's 40 points, where I look at everything in the body, and this is done through the avatar machine that I have. It's an energetic machine that looks at the currents in the body, and it's based off of acupuncture points. So acupuncture's been around for thousands of years. This machine that I'm using has been around for a long time. The whole process.
So it measures
the currents that are going through the body. I'm looking for inflammation, I'm looking for degeneration and stress in every organ.
So it's electrical currents in the body.
Yep.
Okay, so that's what's being measured. This was the part that I couldn't explain
to
you.
Part,
the woo-woo part.
But I have to say, now modern medicine, Western medicine, is really kind of catching up and saying, hey, we're all energetic beings. We have to look at this. Energy medicine is the wave of the future. we all are frequencies. Everything, water has a frequency. I mean, everything has a frequency. So it really is kind of where we're going from this point forward.
So, and for anyone that's listening to this that is like really like down the far end of the, oh, this is woo-woo, I need to tell you that at the same time as I was seeing Sheila, and Sheila was doing this testing and telling me what I had, I also went and found a new naturopath who specializes in genetics. And I went to see her because I thought that what was happening with me, the symptoms, I thought were to do with my MTHFR. And I thought maybe that, you know, I was over or under methylating. So I found Dr. Becker, and I went to see her at the same time as I went to see Sheila. Now, Dr. Becker ran 1 billion blood tests. Some of you will remember the slew of vials that I took a picture of and posted on Facebook. But the blood tests corroborated everything that Sheila told me from the testing she did. So I have a blood test that says Lyme disease. I have a blood test that says Candida. I have a blood test that says Epstein Barr. I have a blood test that says drug-induced lupus. So for anyone who's like, oh, this is a bit weird, I had all of this corroborated, not because I asked for it, just because Dr. Becker just ran all those tests anyway, corroborated with blood work everything that Sheila had told me.
Right. And that's the other piece too, is that a lot of times people, when they call me and they ask about the machine and the testing process and all of that initial piece, they are so done with Western med that they just want relief. And I feel badly at that point because they've been through, you know, a gastroenterologist, endocrinologist, because their hormones are all kinds of screwed up. I mean, they've been just, you know, through the mill. And by the time that they come to me, it's like relief that that they have something that they can look at and say, this is what's going on. And when I don't look at the testing and I do my testing and I'll say, for example, when did he have mono? And they'll be like, oh, I had mono in, you know, college. The woman this morning said, I had it in college. Why? And I said, oh, because you have Epstein Barr. And she goes, oh, Epstein Barr. And I said, yeah, mono is the active form of Epstein Barr. So she'll say, oh my gosh, I didn't even put that on the paperwork. And I said, right, and I didn't look at it. It's a way to kind of, as you say, corroborate and validate that the testing is real and accurate and as effective, if not more, than blood work. Because blood work, you don't always catch what's going on in your blood work. You just don't. It's not as accurate as the testing that I do. Sorry, I'm just putting that out there. So,
and I remember, and I don't remember because it was the end of July, and as you know, Jenny ate part of my brain, so I don't remember all the things. Jenny. But
boy, people who have the name Jenny, I feel badly for them.
No, I put a disclaimer on my post that said Jenny's not a person. But anyway, so I remember the first time I met Sheila and we did the first round of testing, there were some things that Sheila asked me, was like, okay, how old were you when this happened? And I'm like, huh? Like, how would you know that? And so Sheila tested me and knew things about my medical history that I had forgotten or I had not divulged. And, you know, things like how many amalgam fillings do you still have? And, you know, when did you have scarlet fever? And all these things. And I'm just like, whoa, this is weird, but there it was. Yeah. And as I say, and then to have it corroborated with blood tests, I still don't really understand how it works. But I know it does because I'm sitting here now feeling like, and you can all tell, I feel completely different to how I felt even a month ago when I was just getting to the tail end of clearing the Lyme. I'm in a completely different place now. I think I've had bad headaches, a couple in the last month. My energy level, I mean, I'm just in a completely different place. And the only thing I've done is listen to this gal and take the drops that she told me to take. I just did what she told me to do. And there has been a radical shift in my level of health.
Yay! You can tell how much I'm just loving this. Sorry, people. Anyway.
And I know you've all been answering questions, and I've been seeing them, and we're gonna cover everything you're asking before the end.
Yeah.
So don't panic. We're not ignoring you.
No, the one piece that I want to just share with folks is that at the end of the hour, you leave not only with a sense of what's going on in your body, certainly, but also your toxins, how deep they are in the cell. I can measure and see how long you've had, like that's why Carrie was saying, you know, how long ago did this happen, or that you are exposed to this toxin, because everything resonates in the cell at a certain frequency. So, for example, you know, in homeopathy, everything is done in Roman numerals. So X, C, M, double M, L, M. I measure because I want to know if it's leaving the cell the next time that you come in for your retest appointment. So this way you'll have a sense of where we start and where we finish. So that's how Carrie knew that the Lyme was leaving, because I had started off back in July with her protocol that had the Lyme all listed there, all of the co-infections and how deep they were in the cell. And then I imprint those into a remedy. Again, it's energetic, and then you take them every day and it starts to pull it out of the cell. It's that easy, and you excrete it through urine, stool. Lots of focus. I do a lot of focus on adrenal health so that people get their energy back. Gut health, nutrition is key. It's just a godsend that Carrie came to me with keto, because I don't have to worry about gluten. Getting people off of gluten can sometimes be a challenge because they love it. They love it more than their health, I think. But keto folks, yay, you don't eat gluten. I'm so thrilled about that.
So let's just talk about that for a minute, because there's a lot of folks who are understandably confused, and I understand why. A lot of people who have Lyme have been told, there's a lot of Lyme people out there, Lyme experts out there, who will, part of their protocol for treating Lyme is that they will put people on a keto diet, or at least a sugar-free, grain-free, carb-free diet. So, but a lot of them will actually talk about a keto diet as part of the protocol. So a lot of people have become confused about the fact that the keto diet will get rid of Lyme, and it won't.
Right.
However, I understand why, because what happens, and Sheila may be able to explain this better, but in my terms, you stop feeding, once you're keto, you're actually no longer feeding the bacteria, the spirochete, so the symptoms will get a lot better, because the spirochete has the ability, Lyme has this weird ability to change its DNA, and it goes into a cyst form, and it hides in your body, and it just goes dormant. So it goes into regression.
Or if you go on an antibiotic, from an antibiotic, you can form what's called a biofilm, which is this protective coating, sheath-like, sticky-like mucus substance that keeps it trapped in the body. And then that creates all kinds of different issues. In fact, if you do have a biofilm, we have to get rid of that as well, because you won't get well completely. So while the Lyme isn't showing up right now, we have to stay hypervigilant in making sure that that absolutely leaves the body, and that the biofilm is taken care of, as well as, you know, the Epstein Barr and the mercury, because toxins bind to each other and they can hold on in the cell, and I don't want to see that happen. That's why I don't just focus on Lyme. I will look to see whatever you have. We've got to get rid of everything. The more we get rid of, the healthier you're going to be.
So I understand why people with Lyme think that keto it stops the Lyme. It actually just sends it into remission. It sends it into hiding. It goes into cyst form. It hides in this biofilm. But it doesn't go away. But the reason why you feel so much better if you have Lyme when you're on keto is because the symptoms, because the Lyme's not, you know, like running around your body causing all this chaos. It's kind of gone to sleep. So your symptoms will typically diminish a lot on keto, or even maybe go away altogether. But you still have to kill the bacteria.
Yep.
So keto is awesome for helping you manage symptoms and to live through it, but you still need to kill the spirochetes. You still need to kill the bacteria. So I don't want anyone to be confused thinking that, you know, keto has healed them from Lyme. It hasn't. It's just made the symptoms a lot easier to deal with. So keto's great. If you have Lyme, you should be keto, but you still need to find someone who can kill off the bacteria. Otherwise it's just going to be dormant, and at some point it'll probably flare back up again.
Right. And you know, it's one of those hardest toxins to really deal with. I don't diagnose Lyme. I will look at only the toxins. So that's the difference. Like, I'm not interested in a diagnosis. I'm interested in the root cause. What's causing these symptoms? They could be Lyme toxins, sure, but I'm not going to look to say, okay, you definitely have Lyme, or you definitely have chronic fatigue, or I'm not interested in that. I'm looking at the toxins and how to get rid of them. So bear in mind that this is root cause resolution. If you're doing Western med, they typically do things with antibiotics and steroids. Those are suppressive medications. So they're trying to suppress the symptoms. I'm trying to get rid of the symptoms. I'm trying to pull it out. So working with keto and folks that, you know, are not putting any kinds of sugars and grains in their body, it just makes the process go that much faster. It really does. Because when you feed the sugar, or when you feed the parasites sugar from any kind of processed foods and grains, you know, it just takes that much longer. It really does. It's so much more of a challenge.
So the other thing, I don't want anyone to think that if they have Lyme, their resolution is going to come in the same way or as fast as mine did.
Right.
So I've been keto for a long time. So as Sheila just said, that really, really helps because you're not feeding it. But also, I haven't had Lyme as long as some of you all have. So we were able to take care of it in a couple of months. That may not be your situation. So neither of us are suggesting that, you know, if you called Sheila and got tested tomorrow, in 2 months you'd be done. You might be, but you might not be, because it depends on how deep the toxins are in your cells, how long you've had it, you know, how long you've been sugar-free, gluten-free, all these other things. Right. So it is going to be, your experience is going to be individual in terms of the length of time it's going to take to clear. So for example, I still have Babesia, which is one of the Lyme co-infections. Mm-hmm. I still have that. And I will be, my next retest will be middle of December, so another 6 weeks. I'm hoping that in 6 weeks, you know, the Hotel California will be completely empty, will have evicted everybody. And although I am feeling a lot better, there's still a bunch of things going on. I'm hoping that by the middle of December, we will have evicted all of the living things. And then we can start working on, we're also working on the mercury, but then we're going to start working on the biofilm, because I do have biofilm. So we've got to work on getting rid of that gooey gunk that Sheila just talked about, and also we have to tackle the drug-induced lupus.
That's a must.
So drug-induced, in case everyone's going, wait, what? You take drugs? Not that kind of drugs. Drug-induced lupus is typically there's two things that will cause drug-induced lupus. One is antibiotics, and the other is anti-seizure medications. So you'll know that the medication I was on for my bipolar was an anti-seizure medication. So it could have been one of those that brought on my lupus, or it could have been an antibiotic, and of course I'm normal, so I've had antibiotics over the course of my life. We don't know which it is, but Sheila has a plan for detoxing all of the things from my body, so that we can get rid of the drug-induced lupus.
So I can test to see which antibiotics or anti-seizure meds were the most problematic. And then I have a protocol to pull those out of the cell as well. So really the testing is kind of limitless. You know, there's so many things that I can do, from doing that to mercury removal, Lyme. I can also look at immune function to see where things are off beat there if you have an autoimmune issue. I had a gal come in once who initially was told that she had MS. Come to find out she had Lyme, and then that caused Sjogren's. Since we've been dealing with the Lyme and really kind of taking care of that, her Sjogren's has really kind of gone away. She still tests for it, but it's just over the limit according to the blood work that she's had. So, I mean, there's really a variety of things that can be looked at and dealt with, but we're going to have to look at your meds, definitely, and get those pulled out of your cell.
So Rita said, so things you've taken as a child can affect you as an adult.
Absolutely. See, here's the other thing. Anytime you come in contact with a toxin, it stays in your cell. It's like it's you know, part of your DNA, so to speak. So kids that have strep, you know, when they're 3, 4, 5, we're now finding out that their anxiety at 10 and 12 is linked back to the strep, because strep will just live in your small intestines. The small intestines is the second brain. I can't stress this enough. So most toxins live in that and breed in that, and your ability to make serotonin, the happy neurotransmitter that keeps everything calm in the body, goes right down the tubes because
it's produced in the gut.
Yes, because it's been attacked from toxins, so you can't produce serotonin. So you'll see kids that are more anxious or depressed in their teen years, partly because of the strep that they had earlier on. So, you know, when somebody comes in an acute crisis, I always say to them, what happened the year before? You know, was there anything that were they exposed to some kind of toxin some way, somehow? And 9 times out of 10, they'll say, well, I had, you know, strep a lot, or I just gotten my tonsils out, which is a red flag. You know, something along those lines.
So, and you'll who know me know that my MTHFR status, my genetic status, means that I have a very reduced ability to detoxify. Right. So for anyone with MTHFR, where that gene has kind of been switched on, it's going to be more difficult for you. So all of these things, you know, my mercury, that's a childhood thing. My zoster virus, which is from chickenpox, was just a childhood thing.
Forgot about that.
All of these things that I have in my cells, it's partly that they were there in the first place, but I don't have a fully functioning ability to detoxify. So this stuff is all built up in my body, and it's giving me symptoms now. And so that's why this is why I wanted you all to meet Sheila, because I mean, your medical professional is not looking at these things. They're not. They're not trained to. That's not their job, and they're not. But my life, I honestly don't know where I'd be right now if Josh hadn't introduced me to Sheila, and I hadn't learned what I've learned since the end of July. I knew none of this. I just had this mystery thing that was causing weird neck pain, nausea, chronic fatigue, migraines. I mean, just like this host of symptoms. I was barely functional, and I had no idea what was going on. And I'm as certain as I can be that if I'd gone to an MD, they would not have gone looking for Lyme. And so not only did Sheila go looking for Lyme, but we found all this other stuff too, and now we're working on it. The other part of all of this is that once we've cleared everything, my focus is going to be on proactively strengthening my immune system to be as robust and as good as it can be, and to proactively always work on building my gut, you know, building up the flora, making sure that my gut biome is what it should be, so that between my gut and my immune system, I have the best possible defense mechanism against any toxins that I'm going to meet down the road, which of course I will because I'm alive on Earth, that I'm going to have a better chance. So next time I'm bitten by a tick, hello, I live in Connecticut, next time I'm bitten by a tick, I won't actually end up with Lyme disease because my bodily systems will be strong enough and fortified enough to not let it take hold. So once we've cleared all this, that's going to be my focus. But it won't be, for me, it won't be a focus that is like short-lived. It's going to have to be a focus that I have for the rest of my life, because I have this reduced ability to detoxify. And I have another, and I don't remember which genetic mutation it is, but I have another genetic mutation which essentially means that my gut is more susceptible to getting leaky gut with all those little joints opening than a lot of people. So I have to be super vigilant, but I'm going to be super vigilant because I never want to go through any of this again. So I do also have a plan for once we've cleared all of this, and it's something I'm going to have to, you know, be vigilant about forever, but I'm happy to do that because I never want to go through the symptoms that I've had to go through this year.
Yay.
Kimberly's asking, what about dyslexia and retraining the brain?
Great question. That's more of a motor planning issue, in my opinion. I don't know that I can really speak to retraining the brain through bioenergetic medicine. I mean, I don't know if I'm...
So bioenergetic medicine is more to do with removal of toxins.
Right. I mean, it will strengthen your body so that your body functions better. So, for example, my youngest has dyslexia, or dysgraphia rather. And so he's progressively gotten better, but it is because his body's gotten healthier. But in terms of dyslexia, that to me is more of a cognitive behavioral approach that would need to happen within the district. I don't know how old the person is that has dyslexia, and retraining the brain. So.
Okay, and I know there were a bunch of questions and I said we'd get to them, but now I can't remember. Could any of this wonderful information be applicable to reflex sympathetic dystrophy?
Wow, boy, these are really good ones. Yes. I always say if you have a pulse, then you should probably, and you have an issue, then you should probably get yourself looked at in terms of what's going on. I would need more information about RSD and what your issues are. I can't just globally, you know, it's a little tough to say one way or the other.
ADHD.
Love ADHD. Treat it all the time, very naturally. And diet is key on that one too. I tell you, I hope they get, you know, look at the Feingold diet is one really good diet that helps with ADHD. And yes, I have a ton of remedies for that. Okay,
so ADHD, yes. ADD,
same thing.
Same thing. High Viv from Wales. Things have taken as a child can affect you as an adult, yes. Is biofilm Candida overgrowth?
No, biofilm is something that's very unique to the body. Candida overgrowth is just in and of itself one separate thing. But the biofilm can have anything in it. It can have bacteria, it can have fungus, you name it, it can be in there. And
Okay.
Candida is more of a yeast.
I'm scrolling back here.
And by the way, everybody has Candida. It's just when it overgrows.
Okay, we're back now. You just repeat what you said about the Candida.
Everybody has Candida. You don't want to have too much of it. And anytime you have a pathogen in your body, you're going to make Candida. That's just the way it is. Or if you eat too much sugar, you're going to make Candida. You just want to keep it in check. And it can be done.
Kyra asked, is it possible to balance hormones?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I do a lot of menopause stuff, and I work with moms who want to get pregnant and make that nice uterus clean. So this way we don't have problematic children down the road. Not problematic children, but children with problems down the road. Oh, yes.
So Laurie's asking, what about autoimmune diseases? Is there a treatment that will tone down the immune system from attacking innocent organs?
Right. So in my opinion, autism is an autoimmune, as is lupus and Sjogren's. And so yes, toxins trigger the immune system to go out of whack.
Are you keto? You look great.
Oh, thanks. No, I am. I wouldn't say I'm keto, but I don't do dairy. I don't, of course, do gluten. No soy, no corn. So I don't know.
Clean. And no sugar.
Yeah. Sometimes I have a little sugar. I gotta be honest.
We love her anyway.
Yeah. Do they want to know how old I am? I mean, that feels like it.
How old are you?
I'm going to be 58 in the end of the month. Yes! 58.
We lost a dog to tick disease. They told us it could be in the body for 2 to 5 years. It did in her kidneys and blood platelets without symptoms till the end. Nothing we could do for her. I'm sorry, Jerry.
So we just lost
sorry.
our pet last September 10th. It's tough. It's tough.
This is really deep. Can you recommend someone? Oh, okay, so what I needed to say was, if you are local, if you're in New England, and any of this resonates with you, I highly recommend, Sheila is in Old Saybrook, Connecticut, so middle bottom of Connecticut, but Sheila can also do the testing remotely.
Yep.
And you actually don't have to travel here. Sheila can test remotely by using hair, and then you can talk on the phone and you can do all this, and she can ship remedies and do all the process. In fact, I have several friends who are now being treated. Actually, some of my friends who come here, if people fly in to see me, I take them to see Sheila, and then she does all the testing, then she sends them home with stuff, and then they do the rest of it remotely. So, but you can actually do the whole process remotely. So people who were asking, does Sheila know someone in Denver or wherever? Probably not.
I do, actually.
You
I do know people that are in Denver, because my old teacher actually my professor moved back to Colorado. She doesn't practice. She now just is strictly teaching. So, So, and I remember asking Sheila this when I first met her, how many homotoxicologists are there? And I think you said there was probably about 100. Yeah, there aren't many of us.
There's not many.
Right.
So homotoxicologist and bioenergetic medicine is what you want to type into a search engine to see if there's any of those near you. If you come up with nothing, you can contact Sheila, and Sheila can work with you remotely or long distance to help you.
Right.
So if you're on the West Coast, all is not lost at all.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of West Coast people.
I'm just scrolling back. Would someone with MS benefit from this type of testing and treatment?
Yes, it depends on the type of MS you have and where you are in your process. I have treated folks with MS that are in the earlier stages and they do really well. Again, nutrition is key. I had one gal, she was vegan and raw, and she just killed it and is doing very well. And you can also do some meds, like in her case, she was doing some medication, just a little bit. And this is a bridge. So, I deal with cancer and MS and Sjogren's and Lyme and autism. And, again, if you want to get pregnant and you want a clean host, anybody with a pulse.
Okay. She's in Connecticut. Okay, let me go. Does insurance cover this? Almost certainly not.
No. I do take health savings accounts.
Yes.
But insurance does not cover it, which stinks.
But I got to tell you, and this may vary from homotoxicologist to homotoxicologist, incredibly cheap. Like, I was stunned at how little this entire process has cost me. Have I made $500 yet? Just for the Lyme?
Probably, I would think.
Maybe.
Everything's listed on my website. I don't have any problems telling people how much things cost because,
listen, I've maybe spent $500 the entire process. The initial appointment, all the testing, all the follow-up visits, the retesting, and all the remedies. I may have spent $500.
Yeah.
That's it.
The initial appointment is $175. That covers your initial hour, and then it also covers a half an hour recheck appointment a month later. Remedies are on top of that, so remedies can run another $150, but they last.
Right, because some of these remedies you start off. So the Lyme remedy, I took 1 drop a day. 1 drop. So the bottle lasts for ages, and I think I got up to 4 drops twice a day. But even so, the remedies last a really, really long time. So I don't think I've spent much more than $500 on the entire thing, remedies included. So soup to nuts, I may have spent $500. When you compare that to the blood test I had for Lyme was like more than that. Just that, right? Which another doctor had done, and of course that was covered because it was a blood test and so on. But the money, I used my HSA to pay Sheila, so I already had that money in my health savings account. Insurance doesn't cover it, but it was a tiny cost to what you were probably thinking it was going to be. Yeah, no,
I've heard people pay crazy amounts.
And if you have Lyme and you've been doing, the antibiotics and all the things, then you've got through thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. There's so many people who've had Lyme who have ended up being bankrupted, or they're so sick they can't work, or all of that. So now you know why she's like my favorite person, because one, I'm sitting here talking to you now and almost all my symptoms have gone, and it didn't break the bank or even anywhere close to it.
Listen, I get that. I had a kid that was sick, so I'm very sensitive to the whole, because everything when you're dealing with autism is out of pocket. You had to pay for everything out of pocket, so I get it.
So Julie asked how to find local. So just bioenergetic medicine, homotoxicologist in a search engine. Fibromyalgia, nerve issues, fatigue, no energy at all, don't sleep.
That's a catch-all for you're toxic and you're not methylating and you need to detoxify and get on some adrenal supplements.
Also, one thing I learned with Lyme will stop you sleeping. You don't sleep if you have Lyme. And I also learned from Sheila and Dr. Becker, my naturopath, and a bunch of people on social media, that around the full moon, it's a million times worse, because the full moon actually affects the parasites and the bacteria, the things that are, the Lyme. So that really is a thing. So if you find that your sleeping is a lot worse around a full moon,
you're more symptomatic. Yeah.
You almost certainly have some kind of living thing, be it Lyme or parasites or something. The full moon is a thing. And sleep is terrible. My sleep is now, and so for the last, 2 to 3 weeks, I am now 7, 8, 9 hours a night straight through. I'm taking nothing. I don't take anything for sleep. I'm not even taking my niacin, my magnesium, nothing. And I'm consistently 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep a night, which is like day and night compared to, excuse the pun, day and night compared to what it was even a month ago, where I was barely doing 4 hours sleep.
Yay.
So, what's Trisha saying? I was hospitalised for a month in May 2017. My brain has not returned to baseline. I've been told it may never do so. Still have anxiety, speech deficits, balance issues. I'm frustrated with Western medicine.
Okay, who is putting that out there that you may never have that again? That drives me crazy. First of all, I don't like that when people, you know what I mean? That's just so unfair.
So obviously, Sheila can't really give an opinion, Trisha, because there's so much more that it could be that's pertinent to you. Kimberly says she loves the Fine Gold diet. It was a lifesaver for her boys. Rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah, RA. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Oof.
But can homotoxicology help?
It can. It can. I mean, listen, it's root cause resolution. I can't stress that enough. So we're not just going to look at the disorder. We're going to look at the causative factors that are leading folks to having these disorders or diseases. And if you take care of the basics, right, getting rid of all of those toxins, your body will respond better. Most people who have RA are on a lot of suppressive meds. That's the only tough one, because they're putting you on things that really suppress your immune system, which can lead to bigger issues down the road. It's just really scary stuff.
All right, I'm scrolling down to look for questions here. Tina says, you're basically keto, come over to our side.
I know, but I exercise like a fiend. I need my carbohydrates, sorry. That's so funny.
Oh, so Trisha says that when she was hospitalized, it was meningococcal encephalitis.
Yeah. Wow. What the heck? Where have you been? Yeah, let's pull that out.
So yes, it sounds like homotoxicology could absolutely help you, Trisha.
Certain that was the only thing? I mean, that's the.
It sounds like connecting with Sheila would be a good thing for you to investigate, Trisha. Do you know anyone in Phoenix?
Arizona. I don't know. I'm actually going to Arizona in April to see Dr. Nemechek for his...
We could set up a visiting clinic. Pack your machine.
I've done that before, believe me.
Anybody in Atlanta?
Atlanta, yes. Millie Holiday. She was my mentor. She's a certified naturopath. Please tell her that I referred you. She's, you can find her on the web, Quintessential Health. She's the bomb. She's taught me everything that I know. I can't say enough wonderful things about her.
That was Millie Holiday in Quintessential Health in Atlanta. So there you go, Brie. We covered the tests, are not expensive at all. Breast cancer.
Yep, deal with that as well.
Okay. I'm scrolling for questions. Love the use of HSA. Will you work with my naturopath, communicate electronically? So I feel like I won the lottery, because not only did Josh introduce me to Sheila, and I separately found Dr. Kendra Becker, who is my genetic ND, naturopath. Sheila and Kendra know each other, and they have a huge respect for each other's work. So Kendra understands what Sheila does, and Sheila understands what Dr. Becker does. And then I also needed a second naturopath because I needed a PCP, because I don't need an MD PCP, but I needed a PCP. So then Sheila introduced me to my other naturopath, who is Gwen Rosenberg. Yeah. So I have this trio, I have the trifecta of female awesomeness who between them are taking care of my genetics, taking care of my hormones and my daily stuff, and then Sheila's taking care of all the toxic stuff. Yeah. So absolutely, Deanne, a homotoxicologist can work with a naturopath. They have the same focus in that they're both all about root cause. So they have a very, very similar approach.
Yeah, there are some naturopaths here in Connecticut that don't really look at root cause, but Gwen's great. She gets it because we've had other patients that we've shared, and we've worked really well together and had conversations on the phone about our patients, and I love that collaborative work. So absolutely.
So Tina wants to know, did your husband finish his schooling?
No, he didn't.
Oops.
He did not.
Yes, Melissa, I will add Sheila's contact information to this post when we post it. Cerebral palsy.
My understanding of cerebral palsy is it's usually from, birth, some kind of accident that is a result of trauma. I would say that would be more, if you could get a really good cranial sacral person, they do great work with CP, unless there's something else that I'm missing. So I would say no. The other thing too is, I will be honest with you, if it's something that is out of my wheelhouse, I'm going to say it's out of my wheelhouse, and it's not, because I'm not here to kind of just drum up. I want people to get good care. That's the bottom line. I'm not going to just take everybody.
Do you know anyone in Spokane?
Washington? No.
Okay. Holly, type homotoxicology or bioenergetic medicine into a search engine and see what that comes up with. Or you can hook your sister up with Sheila directly. But then you know that. Okay. So that's all. If you have any more questions, please type them now. Mr. McHenry is yelling. You probably heard him because he's like, it's my time. Because you'll know that Mr. McHenry will come and say hi to everybody, and he's getting antsy. So while I fetch him, type. If you have any more questions for Sheila, now's the time. Hi. And here he is. Here he is. Here's your favourite boy. We can hear him.
Yeah, you can take me out of this altogether. I don't need to be in this.
So, if you have questions, what about, do you know anyone? Mitzi says, do you know anyone in Texas? See, look at all the hearts now. Like, we're getting hearts just for Mr. McHenry. He has his own fan club. Hi.
I don't think so. I can't think of anybody off the top. He doesn't think of anybody either. No.
Okay. So, any more questions? I itch. Dib says she itches all the time. Her hair's falling out. She does have the MTHFR. Would it be wise to do testing?
It sure would. And you've got some major gut stuff going on. Anytime you have any kind of itching, hair falling out, that means that you're not getting good nutrient uptake, and there's some kind of underlying gut infection. So, yeah.
There you go. That was a definitive answer for you, Deb.
Get on some probiotics. Take some probiotics before bed. I always tell people, take your probiotics before bed. They do bulk of their work overnight, and it's just the time to take it. They don't compete with food. a good 25 to 50 billion per CFU multi-strain probiotic.
So Tina's asking if there's an association or website that has a list of practitioners, and I'm going to say no.
Yeah,
because I couldn't find one.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, I think like I have cat hair. That's great. The gal that I saw this morning, she did the same thing. She typed in homotoxicology and bioenergetic medicine, and that's how she found me, which was bizarre. And she was in Madison, Connecticut, which is 20 minutes from my office. And she's dealing with Lyme. Dynamic young lady, 29 years old, wants to get well, has been on disability for 4 years, was a school teacher, is a school teacher, but paralyzed, I mean, horrific. And she did the whole, antibiotics. It didn't do anything for her. So that's what she did. She typed in and bingo, I came up and she made the appointment.
it was her lucky day.
Yeah, well, it was my lucky day too, truly.
So the boy is getting antsy, so I'm going to put him down, and I'm not sure anyone else is interested in saying hi. He's powering his head off, and it looks like we've run out of questions. Go sit up there. So, if you've no more questions, and Sheila cannot think of any last minute words of wisdom, hang on. Tracy is saying, I've been testing so many times for allergies, not much comes up, but still have so many issues with sneezing and rashes all the time.
Yeah.
Rashes.
Rashes.
Gut issues.
Yep.
Okay.
Underlying gut issues. And again, there's so many things you can test. So there can be different kinds of allergens. There can be a delayed sensitivity to some foods as opposed to just your straight, I can't have peanuts because I'm going to go into anaphylaxis. So a lot of times what happens, and Carrie was talking about this earlier, is that your body can only withstand so many toxins and so many allergens, right? So you're going along, and then that one extra allergen is what's pushing you over to start the sneezing and the coughing. So if you had some testing, which I do allergy testing in my office all the time, I look at every food under the planet, and then you eliminate those foods and you really start to treat the gut with good immunoglobulins, beta-glucans, probiotics. Things start to calm down. They really do. So if you're toxic and having a lot of allergens, then you're going to get the sneezing. You start to peel things away, and eventually things subside.
So Chrissy says, my 18-year-old son has autism. Can your work help someone who is 18?
Yep, absolutely.
So there it is. You're going to get a lot of phone calls.
Well, I mean, my son's 17, and I still treat him, and I will treat him probably until he doesn't, I don't know when I'll stop. I don't know if I'm going to. I still get treatment. I mean, I think we have to remember that the world we live in is very toxic. So we have to do our best to stay on top of things.
So Tina, the lovely Tina Muheim, peanut allergy.
Right. So somewhere along the lines, I don't know how old the person is that got the peanut allergy, but they had the autoimmune, because that's an autoimmune issue in my book. Something tripped their trigger, and then they recognized peanut as, an allergen. So I do work with folks, but I don't make any guarantees, because if they're true anaphylaxis, that's a tough one. I don't want to get myself in a bind there and have somebody say, yay, they're all fine, and then go out and eat it. You have to work on the immune system. Definitely.
Gout. Last question.
Yep.
Then
Gout.
Because
I know, I gotta go.
you'll know I live in the middle of nowhere
it's a
in a
20-minute drive.
forest, and so Sheila has to, and of course it's now pitch black, so Sheila has to navigate her way.
So gout is just excess protein in the body, and you need enzymes, and you'll get rid of that gout.
So you can help with that.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So I hope that was super helpful. I know it was builders talking about Lyme, because that's how I met Sheila, and that was the big thing at the time that was causing the majority of my symptoms. Although we've now discovered that actually the lupus is actually a bigger deal. And we still need to do that, but we're doing things in order. So we're getting rid of all the livestock, the parasites, the bacteria, the viruses, all of those. And then we're going to work on the biofilm next, because the biofilm is that sticky thing that everything hides in.
Or the drug-induced stuff.
And then the drug-induced lupus. So we're still working on the Candida and the Epstein Barr, the parasites, the pinworm, and the babesia, which is the Lyme co-infection. And then we're going to start working on everything else. But for the first time in my life, I feel like once we've got to the end of the process, I will be the healthiest that I have ever been. Because a lot of this stuff that we're clearing out now has been in my body and been affecting me since I was 4 or 7 or 2, or, you know, vaccines. Because I can't detoxify because of the MTHFR. There's stuff left over from vaccines. Yeah. I had the Tdap vaccine, and Sheila was like, oh, please tell me you didn't. And I did. So, you know, there's a ton of stuff. So I honestly believe that by the time we finish this whole process, my body will be the cleanest, and I will be the healthiest I've ever been probably in my life. So that's why this live was so important for me. This is why I wanted you to listen to Sheila, because she can explain it a billion times better than I can. And I wanted to give you the opportunity to know that whatever it is you're struggling with, there is a good chance that a homotoxicologist, be it Sheila or another one, can help you. If you have things that other doctors can't seem to fix, this is something that you should look at. The same as, you know, I always tell you all to go get your DNA done so you can look at your genetics. You can find out if you have MTHFR. This is the next thing that I would suggest doing. Because every single person that I've sent to Sheila so far has come away and gone, oh my goodness, I had Lyme and I didn't know it. Or, oh my goodness, I have this and I didn't know it. Or, you know, oh my goodness, I see that these old mercury amalgams are causing me a problem and I had no idea. So every single person that I've sent to Sheila so far is enjoying a new level of health. So it was super important to me that I shared this with you as an option. Do with the information what you will.
Thank you for listening. I hope this wasn't too painful for you.
So, and I know there's a bunch of people, because we have people all over the world, and it's late for some people and some people work. So I will be recording this. This is being recorded and I will post it, and I'm also going to post it on YouTube, so that also it's been a huge amount of information. So you're going to be able to go back. I'm going to make sure that you can go back and watch it over and over again and play the bits you need to listen to or get the information you need. I will also post links and stuff in the notes afterwards. And then of course, if you need, you can message me on Facebook if you have any other questions that you think I can help with. That's it. Any parting words?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope that you found it was helpful.
And I think Sheila did an outstanding job for her first live.
Thanks.
All right, we're off, folks. And next Monday, I have here the awesome. Oh no! Oh, even better. Next Monday, Carl Franklin from the Two Keto Dudes and I and the awesome Kim Howerton, we are holding a meetup in New London at Carl's home in New London, Connecticut. There is on my wall, and also in the Keto Kitchen Facebook group, there is information on how you can come to that if you are in Connecticut. So next Monday night, we'll be doing the meetup at Carl's home. We're going to be eating Ketoki fried chicken and Carrie Brown ice cream. Yay! I haven't decided what flavours yet. We're gonna be doing the weekly Facebook Live from the meetup at Carl's house. So I will, if you're not there in person, I will see you all online next Monday. See ya!
Bye. Thank you.